The crisis of the APC was laced or orchestrated by a series of court-related conflicts and decisions. There were conflicting court orders, and court of coordinate jurisdiction intervened on same matter. In few days, there have been several orders too difficult to track. I have joining me tonight one of Nigeria's most senior lawyers, senior advocate of Nigeria, Chief Robert Clarke, to share his views on the situation. Thank you so much, Chief Clarke, for your time tonight.
Always my pleasure.
First and foremost, because a lot of people are having different views on what has happened at the council chambers and his issue of asking the questions on what government is doing and putting them on their toes. For you, as a senior lawyer, is it a matter of legality or matter of morality?
The question of Mr. President hosting an executive meeting or central working executive meeting of APC in the villa. That is what you're asking me to say.
Absolutely.
Whether
at the council,
absolutely.
Whether it was right to do it at the council chambers.
There is nothing wrong for Mr. President. He is the landlord of Aso Rock as of today. And as Shehu rightly said, this period of COVID-19, you will not want your president today to go and move into a chambers where security has not been placed there, where there are no instruments of sanitizing or anything. So you see, the question now is, does the end justify the means? Forget about the means. The means is that a meeting was held in Aso Rock. Forget about that. What has come out of that meeting, which is the end, is it justified? My answer is yes. The party has been able, through that instrumentality of Mr. President, been able to resolve a crisis within the party. If you look back at 2014 or 2000, PDP were in the same mess. But because they didn't have a leader that could quickly discern what will happen to the party, they could not fix it up.
But they had a president.
They had a president, but he never showed. With due respect, he's a fine gentleman. I know him very well. If he had done what Buhari did now, PDP would have still been in power.
Do you think what President Buhari did was right in the face of the law?
Well, let me explain that. I have always been of the view that courts have no right to be issuing ex parte orders. Ex parte orders in general is an unconstitutional act because the Constitution says the other party must be heard. You must put, both parties in a suit, put them on notice. But ex parte orders, you just rush to the court, the judge grants an ex parte order, and you lie on that ex parte order to do. Now,
so it's apologies. So I thought ex parte orders are legal proceedings of a court, which is held by one party in a matter. But if it's illegal, why does judges grant ex parte orders?
I am not saying it's illegal. I say it's unconstitutional.
Okay.
You see, it has become legalized because by the procedure in courts, they say, look, even though it's unconstitutional, but the subject matter can be destroyed. So we will give you an interim order so that the subject matter, the rest in the matter, will be preserved. And you will find that because it is unconstitutional, it is a self-discharging order. The court says, okay, if I give you an interim order, it will only last you 14 days. After 14 days, it is self-discharge. So in this present case, when the judge made that order, granting interlocutory restrictions, A, B, and C, APC have been claiming that that order was never served on them. And therefore, if you do not serve an interim order on the other party, it lapses. So the second time, they went back to the court. The 14 days period had gone, but it is neither here nor there.
It was said to be served by substituted means.
Oh, well, whatever means they did it. What I'm now saying is that, with due respect to the judge himself, why did he appoint an interim chairman? Was that part of the writ in front of him? What was before the judge was to declare that Oshimole can no longer be chairman. Why should the same judge now make an order that a particular person should take over from? He has no jurisdiction to do that. So these are the problems politics is bringing to the courts.
Is it the courts that are causing the problem, or the politics
Now,
that is causing the problem?
Politicians are using the courts. I'm sorry to say this, but some judges are falling in line with these politicians' maneuvers. They are forcing the court. For instance, a judge has no right to say somebody should be holding a post in an establishment that is purely an association. When you look at Nigerian laws, there is what you call the principle in force and habitual. Force and habitual, it's an English decision almost 100 years ago that says whatever you as a judge want to do, you cannot make an order in vain. So if a director in a company is removed by the board of directors and he rushes to court, if you ask them to take him again, when they go back, the majority will throw him out again. So courts are very reluctant to make an order in relation to political parties, unions, and all this, because the majority must have its way. Now, the court has made an order now. The president has now called a meeting. They have changed the court order now. How will the judge look at when at the next hearing he cannot make any other order? Because
Chief Clarke, there is a very interesting thing here. In the eye of the law, Mr. Victor Giadom is still the acting national chairman because there is a subsisting court order saying he should act as the national chairman.
You see, it depends on which divide you are. I am not blaming Mr. President. He has done that the end justifies the means. Whatever the means, which I don't agree with him, because Giadom cannot have any court order because he was never a party to that case. So how did he get a court order asking him to go and be chairman? No, you know.
But sir, my point is there is a subsisting court order as we speak today, asking him to still be the acting national chairman of the party. So in the eye of the law, that order is still, it sees Mr. Giadom that it should be the national, acting national chairman. No. So what happened to that kind of order?
You see, I agree with you. The way and manner an order is made is irrelevant. Once the court pronounces, it becomes a legal instrument. Therefore, whether rightly or wrongly the judge had made that order, Giadom is still, by that pronouncement, the chairman, the acting chairman. I agree, and that was the basis upon which Mr. President says, look, I am a believer in court's order. If the court has said this man should be, whether rightly or wrongly, I have to abide with it. And therefore, they accepted him to call the meeting. So there is nothing wrong in Mr. President.
But sir, what I'm saying is, to vacate, to remove Mr. Giadom, doesn't is there no need for a vacation of that order first?
There is no need. Events have overtaken that order. That is why we always tell courts, you should be careful in issuing interim orders, because courts should not be seen to making orders in vain. That order made by that judge has now become an order made in vain. Events have overtaken it. The majority have now spoken.
Is the judiciary a problem to politics in Nigeria?
Well, judiciary is not a problem. Judiciary is an institution that we need, whether we like it or not. And it's the only, force in the country today that one can still rely upon. Politicians are a problem. Politicians, as I've said before on one of my interviews here, that the politicians are corrupting the courts. They are corrupting the judges. And there is nothing we can do. It's because the system itself is corrupt.
Does the judiciary have a self-cleansing mechanism? Because when you have a judge and another judge giving of coordinate jurisdiction and giving different orders on a particular matter, what does that? What's the implication on our polity?
You see, the judiciary has a self-cleansing institution, that is the Judicial Service Commission, where the CJ of the Federation is also the chairman. Any erring judge, you just have to petition. If there is no petition, then nothing happens. So if two judges of coordinate jurisdiction are making different things, is the rascality we think should not creep into the judiciary. But I still hold it that these events have been created by politicians.
So how do we get out of this quandary? Because like you rightly mentioned, the president has intervened in the crisis of the APC. Now, it might be YDP, SDP, or any other party tomorrow that could be in this matter. We've seen PDP pre-2015 era entered into a similar problem where courts majorly determine how the party's affairs were run. So how do we get out of this?
Well, the system of governance we have today, the 1999 Constitution, is the problem we have in Nigeria. This Constitution allows, powers to be given to individual governors or Mr. President to the extent that as soon as they get into the position of responsibility, their personal ego takes over. And there is no, instrument that can stop them except impeachments. And how do you get impeachments? When virtually all members of the House are under the portfolio of the governor. So it's the system that is wrong. When you spend billions of naira to get nomination for a gubernatorial election in a party, when campaigning, you have to traverse the whole, as a president, you have to transfer the whole of Nigeria. You don't need such a system. It's too expensive. We cannot afford it. We have to change it.
So on a final note, Chief Clarke, the APC crisis, you think that what President Buhari did and NEC did was somewhat a statement of finality to the problem of the party?
Well, I wouldn't say it's finality, but because many people are afraid to talk in a party because they are looking for certain crumbs that will fall from here or there. So, but I believe at the moment that we are in today, the palaver in APC is a bit, down by the action of Mr. President. He has been able to put that presidential force on top of it. Nobody can go to court. If they go, they'll be removed because the majority will have its way. And the majority, I believe, I'm not saying because I'm not a politician, I believe the majority are satisfied with what Mr. President has done.
Well, I'd like to get your quick, maybe the 30 seconds reaction on the role of Mr. Malami at that swearing in. As a lawyer, do you think the Attorney General should serve that kind of role for a party affair?
Look, you have to differentiate Malami as the Attorney General and Malami as a member of APC. Malami's presence in swearing in was not as an Attorney General. He was doing it as a party member and as a lawyer. So people should know that because Malami left his chambers to come to the president's chamber to swear somebody, then he's doing it as an Attorney General. No.
All right. Chief Robert Clarke, it's always a pleasure having you and getting your thoughts on some of these crucial issues. Thank you so much indeed, and it's good to see you again, Chief Clarke.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.